वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्महेधि वेदस्य महाणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May what I learn from them never forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is right. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Vedanta. In our quest for knowledge and clear understanding, we see that a questioning mind is very important. A mind that feels the incongruous natures of different experiences, not meshing properly, not very harmonious, and thus a quest arises as to how we can bring about a harmonious perception of this. Human mind looks for harmony, for having the things match with each other. If not, we feel uneasy about it. Anything that does not fit in our understanding either needs to be correctly fitted by properly expanding our understanding or changing the perception so that it will become then harmonious. Both these approaches one takes. Our understanding gets expanded many times to include the various incongruencies in the life, or many times we discard certain things which don't fit in us and say that, well, they are not the necessary aspects, we can do without thinking of them, so keep them aside and lead a life that is consistent. So if it is not consistent, then we don't feel satisfied. We feel a lot of perturbance because of not having this consistency. And whenever there is this inconsistency, it manifests as a question. And then there is the need for an answer. So, as in the morning I was explaining, the questions do arise and answers do come. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. Sometimes even if they come, they soon disappear because what appeared to be harmonious, after certain other things happening, we don't see that it is very harmonious. So that question erupts again. It is like sometimes that question just gets smothered, like you take a steroid and some physical health issue gets suppressed for a little while, and after that effect wanes, then it erupts again. So the question gets suppressed. For a while we feel better, and then at some other occasion it shows it takes out its hood again. So we have to see how we can get the answers for these questions. How will the answers stay with us? The verse from Rig Veda that I chanted in the beginning really expresses this urge of the student who is sincere to the core. He is looking for the answer and knows that a requirement of that answers is dependent on us. It is getting the answer is not something that somebody will give us the answers. Somebody will be always ready to give the answers, but we should have the capacity to get them. There is the answers available all around, but if we don't have the capacity to get them, then we will not get them. So the essence is, as we look into why some people get answers, why some others don't get answers. Some people go to a sage and get answers. Others go to the same sage but do not get answers. Now why so? There is something lacking when we approach a person who has probably the answer, but why do we not get it? We have to learn the technique of extracting it. It really depends on the questioner. The more I think about it, the more I feel convinced that nobody really can give me answers. I have to extract the answers. It depends on our skill to extract the answers that we can get them. And the primary requirement for extracting the answers, as this verse suggests, a very beautiful verse, that Vang me manasi pratisthita, mano me vachi pratishtitam. May my speech be established in my mind, firmly established. That is, whatever I speak and whatever I think, let there be correspondence, let there be harmony in it. I have one thing in mind, but I don't reveal it. I tell something else. I hide. And similarly, there is something in my speech which doesn't tally with what is there in my mind, and thus there is that insincerity that is in our behavior, in our thinking process, and that hinders our capacity to extract the answers. So there has to be a sincerity, that how one should approach a question. Then there should be, as this verse says, that prayer, that may those truths be revealed unto me, that there should be the urge to get in the answer, that yearning has to be there. May the truth be revealed unto me. It is a prayer. When Swami was explaining this verse to me, he said, what do you pray for? Something that you automatically get, or something you get as a matter of your right. You don't need to pray for that. You pray for that which normally you don't get by your efforts. Then you make a request, then you make a prayer. The truths of the scriptures be revealed unto me. Why this prayer? Because normally they just pass over us. We do not get the absorption of them. And so this prayer, may those truths come to me, may those truths be revealed unto me. I want them. And so the prayer for that revelation, that may that come to me. You have the truth, but let my awareness become open to it, so that I will be able to get it. And then another thing that we see, that they come to us, but after a while, as it were, they get lost. We forget them. We get a glimpse of them, but then they are not remembered. As it were, this verse says that may those things that I learn from scriptures never forsake me. Why? Because it appears that they go away from me. It is Swami Vivekananda tells a story in his book Practical Vedanta, that there was a big deer that was telling its little one, look how strong I am, how powerful are my these limbs, and look at my all these horns, and and it was bragging like that, when there was some sound of the jackal's howling, and it immediately took to its heels, and after running for some time and frantically going all about, it came to stop again, just panting and panting and panting. What happened? That little one asked, that you were telling so much about your strength and how your horns are powerful, and how your legs are powerful, and how fearless you are. and all that. What happened? And that big deer said, it is all right. I am really powerful and all that. But what happens, I don't know. When I hear the howling of jackals, all that knowledge leaves me. And I become terribly scared and start running away. So it happens to us, we read all these scriptures, feel that we understand them, but when the jackals of all the worldly things start howling, then the knowledge, so to say, leaves us. The answers came to us, but then they did not remain with us, they vanished. They ran away. They were forsaking us. So, therefore, it is important that let us have this prayer that when they come to me, when the answers come to me, let them not leave me. Let me retain the hold on those answers. Let them be stuck to me. And then the disciple there is also feeling that the way that they will remain with me is to learn to lead life in the light of those truths. See, whatever we need, we don't forget. Something that we don't need, it is easy to forget. Those things which we use all the time, we keep them near us. Those which we use sometimes and then are not using now, they go and sit somewhere in the attic, they are forgotten. So, these scriptures, these truths, if not used, then they get forgotten and they go and climb in some remote quarter of the brain and just remain idle there. They are not functionally active. So this disciple sees this, that these truths, they are not functionally active in my life. If they become functional in my life, then they will not forsake me. Those things which we need and use, we don't give them away. We don't throw them out. So these truths, if we feel the need, if we practice them, then they will remain with us. And so this prayer says that let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. When that is attempted, that let me lead my life accordingly, because they are for my benefit. What the teachings of the scriptures are, they are not telling me anything that I actually don't need. I really need it. And so, let me use it. Many times, certain things that we need, we do not really take them or keep them. Even though we need them, let me tell you my own example. I need to take a lot of exercise. I know that. But not that I do it always. I forget, I am lazy sometimes. Sometimes the idea of just being comfortably chit-chatting and sipping tea overtakes the need to do my exercises. And thus, what happens? Not that I don't need it. I need it, but I don't do it. So similarly, the spiritual exercises that we need to do, we don't always are particular about doing them, and thus if we don't do them, then they just say goodbye. My predecessor Swami used to say this always, Swami Sarvagatananji, that What you don't use, you lose. It is that is a principle in evolution also. That as human beings evolved from monkeys, monkeys have long tails, you see. So, but this human beings didn't find much use for it. So gradually, monkeys jumping from tree to tree, branch to branch. So to keep the balance, they needed the tail. So human beings didn't need it. So gradually, in the course of millions of years of evolution, that the tails just dropped away. And there is still the bone, the tailbone we call it. The name also is tailbone. The bone is there, the place is there, but no tail, because there was no need. We did not use it, so we lost it. So the truths of the scriptures also get lost. I told sometimes back that you see cows, they can move their ear flaps. Normally we cannot. Earlier it is said that we also had the capacity to move our ear flaps, and we can regain it. Not worth the attempt, but then actually if you pay attention, I tried a little bit, because just to get convinced that it can be done, and you can really do it if you pay attention to it. So because it is not needed, the cows, they don't have hands to ward off the flies and all. They needed that movement. We don't need, so we don't use that capacity, and since we don't use it, we lose it. So the scriptural truths, if we don't use it, what will happen? We will lose them, and thus the answers are there. We had them, but they did not remain with us, because we did not use those answers. They therefore are not with us anymore, and so we have to make use of those truths in our life. Do you get, Gaurav? That we have to make use of those answers. They come to us, but if we don't use, we lose them. So it is not that somebody is not giving me the answers. I am not keeping them, that's all. The sages, they give the answers. They are ready to give. They are not withholding. It is only our capacity to keep them that matters. So, therefore, this idea that we should use those scriptural truths, as we use them, we will see that they will start remaining with us. So, the questions, therefore, have the answers too. Just a little while ago, my friend Raymond Smith gave me a nice quote relevant to this idea, relevant to today's topic. It is from the book Warrior's Way by Robert de Ropp. Don't volunteer information about the way, but be willing to answer honest questions. What are honest questions? Honest questions contain the seeds of their own answers and show that the questioners have tried to solve the problems themselves. Dishonest questions show that the questioners are trying to get something for nothing, making conversation, indulging in idle curiosity, or showing off. So, we see all these variety in different questions that we hear in conversations. in question answer sessions or places like that. So the question, as we can see, and I hinted at this idea many times, that the question contains the answer, like a banana skin contains banana. So to get out the banana, what we need to do is peel the question, peel the banana, and the banana pops out. So peel the question and the answer pops out. That is as simple as that, really. The question contains the answer. The answer that a teacher or a learned sage can give us is only in terms of showing how to peel the question, how to clean your question. If you see that Plato's dialogues, all the conversations with Socrates, very beautiful technique, that Socrates never answered the question. The question was put forth, but what Socrates does is only modifying the question. Keep on modifying the question. Keep on putting the question back to the questioner till the answer pops out. Till the answer, the question itself becomes the answer. A wonderful technique that is teaching how the answer needs to be extracted. That nobody really gives the answer there. That question is sincere question. So just reshape it, clean it. So therefore, one should remember also that especially in terms of spiritual questions, that we don't have any right to claim answers. Those sages, they are not questionable characters, not that you go and question them, nor are they answerable to us. We should not, the question should not be of the type of interrogation, that hey, give me the answers for this, and they may not give. Why should they? They are not compelled to give answers. They are not bound to give us answers unless we really seek them for our spiritual or inner development. If they see that we are really worthy of keeping the answer with us, using the answer, then in a compassionate manner they will give it. It is we cannot demand it. It is just their sweet wish. It is their compassion for us that makes them reveal the answer. So therefore, the spirit of surrender is very important to get the answer. If we approach arrogantly, naturally we shut the door for the answer to get in. And that answer will not come to us because our arrogance shuts the door. So even if the answer is trying to come in, we are blocking the door. So it is out of great compassion that the answer is revealed, and we can get it only through that. So if we see Thomas A. Kempis, that beautiful book, Imitation of Christ, how can we get these answers? He says, through humility. The humility makes us capable of receiving those answers. If not, the answers will be there. Not that the sages are withholding it, but we do not have the intrinsic capability to get that answer. We will not have the means to hold on to it. So therefore, when we have the questions, we should remember that getting the answer depends on certain intrinsic abilities that we have to develop, cultivate. Uh, and therefore, what preparations are necessary for that? We saw that we have to be sincere. The answer should be really needed by us. It should not be out of, as that nice quote said, not out of idle curiosity, but out of a real need, that I need it. And so it should be, then we have the first basic need, first basic instrument of getting the answer. Then another reason that I see in my own life or in other people as well, that it takes some time for one to get the answer. It is not very quickly that you will be able to get that answer. People are very impatient. They want the answer right away. While sipping the tea, and then half attention is in the tea, half attention is on the watch, maybe 0.1% attention is to the answer, and they want the answer immediately to come to them. How can it be possible? That is not the right frame. And the scriptures have therefore laid tremendous emphasis on being very patient and persevering for a long, long, long time. It is a very deep question that we ask the sages, and we don't have that preparation. In other fields, we sense the need for preparation. In the spiritual matters, somehow we don't feel that there is some need to prepare ourselves. If I ask a doctor, can you quickly explain me in a nutshell how all this our brain, how it functions? And then naturally the doctor will say, well, you have to go to med school, that learn it, spend some time. You have to prepare yourself for that. If you don't know anything, what will happen? You will not be able to know. It is preparations are required, and it takes time. It takes the investment in terms of your time, efforts, and they should be sustained efforts for a long time. Like if you have to pass through this school examination, you have to keep on studying for those 12 years. Then you pass your high school exam. 12 years of sustained efforts are to be put in. For high school exam, we understand that. But for spiritual truths, you want an immediate, quick answer right now. And if you don't get it at the moment, you say that that fellow doesn't know anything, or there is no truth in those things. I examined, I saw no answers are there for these questions. It is, and very highly educated and learned people somehow seem to harbor this view. Let me tell you an incident. When I used to be in college, one of my professors, he used to read some spiritual books like Bhagavad Gita, and he also had read many books akin to that. And then after reading all this, had come to the conclusion that there is no truth in them. It is all meaningless. Those questions can never be answered. There is no meaning in all of them. So how does this person comes to such a conclusion? Because there is really no sustained effort at getting this truth. One has to put in a lot of preparatory efforts in that. Without those efforts put in, we don't get answers. So one should be prepared for that. Of course, the reward is huge, great reward. That reward you will not get by anything else in life. One may question, really have this question, that what is the use if I suppose put in all this effort? If I put some similar effort in say my business at Wall Street, I will get so much money. Of course, nobody can assure anything about Wall Street, but it is. But there is some hope I will get so much money. If I do so much this work, construction work, if I am a construction laborer, then I get so many dollars an hour as remuneration. What do I get by putting in so much of this efforts in spiritual life? What is, do I get anything tangible? Well, you get really everything that you are seeking. Everything. And if not, what do you get? If not, what do you get? If you don't put in efforts in this spiritual acquisitions, then what do you get? Friends, you are putting efforts just in waste. And nothing tangible can be obtained by just running after shadows. Somehow those people, they call themselves practical, that we are practical people. Why practical? Because we run after the real things. Those spiritual things, they are all imaginary, not real things. But what is real are all these things which come and go like shadows. Running after shadows, is it real? Is it practical? So we have to ask this question to ourselves, that is it practical to run after the shadows? Do we not see the examples of all people around us? We feel that no, for last 50 years I have been working at it, I didn't get, but maybe after 1 year I will be able to get it. No, we should examine this, that why are we not getting hold of these things? Because you can never hold on to a shadow, but therefore turn your attention to real something. Because of the perverted values, that which is real seems to be unreal. That which is unreal seems to be real. So these dollars seem to be real, which is actually just an abstraction. That how we get deceived by the unreal things, the best example is money. Nobody can tell you what money is, but we get deceived by that very quickly. It is similarly, these unreal things appear to be real. Patanjali, in his yoga aphorisms, therefore says that what is nescience or avidya or ignorance, these perverted understanding. When we do not have correct understanding, the sign is that all the things look just upside down. That he says what happens, that anitya, a really beautiful aphorism. Patanjali's skill of compacting lot of very valuable information in a cryptic formula is unmatched. It is, he says that that which is impermanent appears to be permanent. like the bodies. We see them coming and going all the time. People being born and people dying. In fact, what we call living is nothing but marching towards a certain death. And we are really dying every moment and yet call it living. Do we not see that? That we are marching towards death. So what are we really doing? We are dying, is it not? Going towards death. We are dying and give it the name, we are living. So that which is impermanent gets called as, thought of as permanent. That which is impermanent, going away continuously, but in our perception that is taken up as permanent something. That is then that which is essentially causing pain, we somehow feel that it is going to bring pleasure. That what is dukkha we consider as sukha. That pain, it is we experience pain, but somehow feel that later on that will bring me pleasure. We go after pleasure, and yet we end up clutching that which is painful, because it is the perverted values. That which is in ignorance, that which is pain, appears like pleasure. So then that which is essentially in other circumstances we will call it as dirty, filthy, impure, that will be seen as very nice, pure, beautiful, and so forth. Example is our own bodies, and we think how beautiful I am. We stand in front of the mirror and admire how nice I look, and so forth. It is, and what is that? It is a skin bag filled with bones, blood, filth, and so forth. It is that, and yet we don't think that it is dirty. In other situations we will think it is dirty. But if suppose there is really a bag full of filth and all that, will you tolerate it here? You will say, take it away. You will run away. That, but we all, these bags are sitting here, right? We think that we are very pure, nice, beautiful, worth hugging each other. See, that is how it is. That is how the values, they just get changed, you see. So, therefore, it requires a lot of patience to understand, patience and perseverance to analyze and clean the question. And so, this question therefore requires a lot of that cleaning. Like when you cook say some vegetable or something, if you just pluck it out from the farm, lot of earth is sticking to it. Before you actually start cooking, you have to clean it. So the questions also need to be cleaned before one can think of getting the answers. Cleaning of the questions is a very important thing before we can get the answers. Also, another important thing that we will look in this first discourse on this is the questions. So many questions keep on springing in our mind. Which one do we want to be answered? All of them? Or do we have a priority list? Which one I need the answer right now? Which one can wait? Which questions are very important, most important? We have to therefore prioritize. Like when we want so many things to be bought, we look what are most needed, how much we can pay for, what needs can wait. So we have a priority list. So before thinking of answers, let us jot down our questions. This is an interesting exercise. When we start jotting down our questions, we will see how confused we are about them. We quickly ask them, but if we start writing down all the questions that I have and then look at them and see which ones have more priority over others, that exercise is a very nice exercise to organize our questionnaire. That we want answers, but let us have first a list of priority questions. Which questions are more important, in which context they are more important. Let us give a good thought to it. I don't think that most of us really give the necessary thought to it. How to prioritize this list of questions. There should be a criterion also to prioritize. On what basis are these questions going to be prioritized? So that basis also needs to be ascertained. So many things come in this idea of getting answers, extracting answers. Then, while cleaning the question, we have to say that one question really is composed of many different parts. And this is a very important thing that I am going to discuss. I discovered it a few years ago, maybe a decade ago, and that has helped me when it was discovered that the questions started becoming more clear to me. How a question is, we say that as one question, but there are various components of that question. Do we understand, do we appreciate that it has so many components? Why it is important is, it is not one question, but many questions put together, and therefore the answers also will be many different answers. All these different questions are not really unified. Therefore, the various parts of the question, they pertain also to different levels. Like the question, our personality is reflected in the question, and our personality has a physical aspect, an emotional aspect, and an intellectual aspect. And we can see our questions too has these aspects. The question has an intellectual part. Many times it is thought that it has only that part. No, friends, it has emotional part involved in it, and also the physical aspect of it, that also is there. So let us look at these components of the question. When we see that these different components are there, then we will see the need to get the answers also on these three levels. Many times the question may have more to do with emotions. Sometimes people express it clearly. Very graphically, one of our students explained it to me. Swami, when you tell all these things, it all makes sense here, but not here. Very beautiful way of telling that it makes sense here, that it is intellectually it is satisfying, but the answer does not percolate at the emotional level. We think that we have got the answer, but not really. It has not percolated to the emotional level. We have to get that answer to the question even at the emotional level. And when we discover that the questions have all these different aspects, we will be able to see the need for the answer to be given at all different levels. Then another important thing that about the question itself we need to think. It all requires working on our own part to get the question clear. Asking question to somebody comes easy, but extracting the answer really depends on getting the question really cleaned up. The Socratic method, great really, to get the question itself cleaned up. The third important thing that I am telling now, and I discovered it in the dialogues, that Socrates, Plato's dialogue, and also in Shankaracharya's method of explaining things, answering the questions, and that is examine our question for the internal inconsistencies in the question. The question, as I said, may have and does have in most cases many parts, and those parts themselves may not be consistent with each other. And we will come to the example of this. Many questions, especially in the spiritual realm, that we ask, the components themselves do not have an internal consistency, and therefore answer becomes an impossibility. What are you going to answer there? If you answer one part, then the other part revolts against it. If you try to take care of that part, some other part will revolt against it. There is an involved internal inconsistency in the question itself. So, if we look at the questions, it becomes clear to us. When we separate the components and the levels, then we can see that there is, in most of these questions, there is an internal inconsistency, and therefore the answer is an impossibility. We cannot extract the answer by the very definition of it. So, this is thus very important thing, looking for the possibility of internal inconsistency. And this is an important psychological training. Many times these problems that people have in their behavior patterns, in their understanding, are because of these internal inconsistencies that come to them. It is these internal inconsistencies are in the questions. So the questions basically therefore cannot be answered unless these inconsistencies are resolved. So many times answering the questions is really resolving the internal inconsistencies. We see this in Shankaracharya's method of explaining things. Usually he won't answer the question in the sense of refuting. Many of these statements opposing Shankaracharya's that explanation would be dealt in that manner, that the opponent would bring up a question that, well, if you say like this, if your conclusion is right, you are refuting the scriptures, you are disrespecting the scriptures. And then Shankaracharya will not just refute it. He will let that argument, as it were, he would take it in and show the internal inconsistencies there. And then it will be revealed that the questioner, by that assertion, is really disrespecting the scriptures and not Shankaracharya. And then after that is settled, then Shankaracharya shows after that, not before this, because if he starts giving the examples of supporting scriptural statements, that will not sink in. And the sinking in is very important. So the first, that ego of the questioner has to be put down by showing the internal inconsistencies in his question. And then when it is shown, then the student, the questioner is ready now to give them up because of the inconsistencies, and then the light of the truth can shine forth there. So that is a great method, and it really helps us a lot. When I some long time back, when I learned this thing, then it became much easier for me to get the answers to various questions, whether the question has internal inconsistencies. You get the question, wait, don't ask for an answer immediately. Look at it, look at the question, and see if it doesn't have an internal inconsistency, then you can hope for an answer. If it has, then see it, and then you will be able to satisfactorily discard it. So that is important thing. Then another important thing is formation of question. The question has to be formulated in the right manner. It is an art, it is a great skill to be able to formulate a question. There is the urge, the yearning inside. At a deep level, there is the spiritual yearning in every one of us, in each soul, because each soul being potentially divine, no one is absolutely devoid of the spiritual yearning. Each person has it. Now, to get that yearning fulfilled, that yearning has to become intensified, clarified, and brought to a level where it can be manifested as a question. So formation of question also is a big art. That once a deep spiritual yearning, it is not easy to put it into words, friends. Even our ordinary requirements are not always easy to put into words. What to speak of this yearning for something that is beyond mind and beyond sense perceptions and beyond words. How is it going to be put into words? So one has to be very skillful in conversion of the inner yearning into proper that mental setup, where now the words could be thought of and presented. It should be coherently presented. It should be clear to us. It should, of course, it is not the words. When the question is asked, it should be revealing the actual yearning. It should be a revelation of the actual yearning than just the words. We will take up in the second discourse, we will take up the examples of some such questions. Then, as that nice quote that I told about in the beginning, it is if the question is our real question, if it is an expression of the yearning, then we automatically must have put in lot of efforts ourselves to solve it. It is we cannot sit without putting in any efforts. If the yearning is there, if the yearning is real, then obviously, naturally, we will be putting in efforts to resolve it. We have to have these efforts put in. Then only it is we are sincere about it. If we are sincere, say even if I am thirsty, for example, then what will I do? Before I will look for water here, there. It is you are looking for it because you want it. You are desperate for water. So, similarly, if that spiritual yearning is there, if it is real, then you will put in maximum efforts. We will see this in many questions that get asked in Upanishads or in Bhagavad Gita or by various great spiritual seekers in the world. Then, another important idea that to extract the answers is avoiding and jumping at a conclusion without having enough data at hand. The weakness of the mind, Patanjali says that this is the weakness of the mind that makes us jump at a conclusion without proper examination. Without having enough data, we jump at a conclusion. And so, if we seriously want to extract the answers, then this temptation should be assiduously avoided, jumping at a conclusion without having a proper handle on all the aspects. Wait, patient, don't jump at conclusions. So, then another thing is let us ask ourselves, do I really want answer? Because in many cases the answer will be not palatable. We want answers only if they are palatable. We want answers only if they are pleasant. If they are not pleasant, are we still going to take them? Are we still going to accept them if they are true? This is an important thing. Many times we cannot extract the answers because we want a compromise. We want an answer and also want it to be palatable. How can that be? Whether the question is whether you want the true answer or not. It is many of our questions are like that. Like if you ask somebody, especially a person that wants to be in your good books, do I look beautiful? Is that person likely to say, and are you likely to ask that person, oh, you look rank ugly? Are we going to, you won't ask that person that question. And even if that person says, you won't take it. It is our Yogatmananda told that story that one lady asked her husband, do I look fat in these clothes? And then he just whispered, don't blame the clothes. It is something that we must, are we really looking for answers? Are we ready to accept them if they are true, even if they are not palatable? That is, if not, then we don't have the tool to extract answers. It is plain. And then asking a question that we thought of earlier also, that it should be asked in right spirit, with a yearning spirit. Because we always do that. If suppose we really need something and we see that I need it and somebody has it, may probably give it to me. If there, will you go arrogantly? You will not, because you don't want the possibility of getting refused. You will take every precaution to be humble. You will say, sir, even for the school admission, if there is a tentative possibility, may get, may not get, and then people write such nice applications. Why? Because, well, you want to, that really you want it, and so you present yourself like that, that I really need it, you have it. And it depends just on your grace, whether to give or not to give. So, how will you approach that? It is, you approach then with that sense of humility and request. It is in our laboratory in college. Whenever we needed some chemicals and all that, then we used to put a note there. And then it had that demand note. So write that. And our professor, just one day he changed all that, threw away all those notes, and said, change it to requisition slip. Who are you to demand? You cannot demand, you can only request. So it is like that. There is a psychological difference there in request and in demand. So therefore, there is in Upanishads, you will therefore see that beautiful word coming, Samit Pani, that you approach the teacher with that sense of request, surrender, and bringing that gift to the teacher, not as the teacher to help the teacher, or not with that sense, but showing the sense of respect and adoration that you have. So, and why so? Because that is a necessary tool to be able to extract the answers. So, this is, we shall discuss further now. The time for the first session is over, and maybe you are looking for an answer to the other inner stomach quest. So it is after that, when the time for next question, next discourse comes, we will get into that. So probably those who are in charge of arranging for lunch will soon ring the bell, and we will then line up there.